All right, what's up, guys? It's Aztec 101 in the ring, and I'm going live. I'm going live. In this video, I'm going to be talking about. I want to talk about Triple G. I want to talk about Triple G, but it's mostly going to focus on the new phenomenon of Mexican boxing fans, or not even boxing fans. I would just say Mexican sports fans being sold the Eastern European fighter. Because it doesn't just stop at Golovkin. It extends down to Lomachenko and up to Kovalev. So, I find this interesting. I think it's an interesting topic because Mexico has an abundance of talent when it comes down to boxing. They have a lot of fighters that they could support, but one thing I'm noticing is not just through American media, but if you guys are watching Golpe a Golpe, you listen to Julio Cesar Chavez, you look at Eric Morales and the way that they've talked about some of these fighters, there has been a push of the Eastern European fighter to the Mexican community. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. I've always kind of wanted to take this approach and have the same conversation, the same topic in Spanish, because I would like to get some of the opinions from people that only speak Spanish. But this video I'm going to do in English, and I guess it'll focus more on the Mexican American fan base, right? But let's see here. I'm gonna smoke a blunt with you guys. Gotta find my lighter. Let's see here. All right, so let me get myself right. Let me get my mind right before I talk about this. So, one thing I want to get straight, I really want to get this straight, is that I'm fully aware that Mexican boxing fans don't only root for their for Mexican fighters. Because I've said this before. When when Floyd was fighting, a lot of boxing fans thought, well, you know what, Mexicans only support Mexican fighters. They only hate, they dislike Floyd Mayweather because he's black, and Floyd Mayweather's fighting Mexican fighters, so of course Mexicans only support their own, right? And I've always argued that. Because when you talk to Mexican boxing fans, and you get a gist of who their favorite fighters are, they pick fighters from all over the world, and then current fighters too. There's a lot of Mexican boxing fans that like, they like Triple G, they like Crawford, they like Rigondeaux. There were a lot of Mexican boxing fans that really liked Erislandy Lara over Canelo. And there were a lot of Mexican boxing fans that picked Floyd over Canelo too, But there's something different that I'm seeing with the fight that happened between Canelo and Triple G, and it's not something that just came in overnight. It was developed. It wasn't on accident. It was developed, and it took a lot of marketing and a lot of promotion. But at the end of the day, they've been able to sell Triple G as a Mexican fighter. Even though he's from Kazakhstan, they took the fact that he comes forward, they took his fighting style, and they attributed some of his, they took some of his attributes and connected that to Mexican style. And they didn't do it on their own. Obviously, Triple G came out and he's the one that said that he has that type of style and that's his favorite style, and he won a lot of support with the Mexican boxing fans with that statement. you know. And one thing I noticed, you know, with Mexicans, if you show appreciation towards us, we'll give that back to you. You know what I mean? I mean, you come to LA, you go to LA or Orange County or San Diego, and you go to a swap meet, there's three faces on shirts that you're going to see all the time, because they sell t-shirts there, right? Swap meets, you can buy clothing. Anyways, the three most popular faces that you see on a shirt is Jesus Christ, right? Pancho Villa, and Tupac. You know what I mean? And the reason why Tupac gets on there, I mean, Mexicans love Tupac. Mexican Americans love Tupac. I love Tupac. And the reason why a lot of us were influenced by Tupac is because, unlike other West Coast rappers, he actually did mention us, right? So we show appreciation back to those who acknowledge our influence, our presence, and show respect back. You know what I mean? Let's see here. The boxing corner. The worst enemy of a Mexican is another Mexican. You know what? There's always been a saying that we kind of have the mentality of a crab. You know, the crab, you can leave them in a bucket and it's fine. They won't crawl out. And that's because as soon as one of the crabs gets a chance to crawl out of the bucket, there's another crab pulling him down. So you don't have to put a cover on that shit. And yeah, they do say that the biggest, yeah, we hold each other back. Now, oh man, my blunt went out. Hold on one second. You know, there's a reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I do see this as a phenomenon. Even though I am acknowledging that Mexican boxing fans, you know, are open to support people from all around the world, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you might go, well, if that's the case, why is it a phenomenon that Mexican boxing fans are fans of Triple G? The reason why is because of the setup. You know, I'm not walking into this situation brand new. I've been seeing the marketing develop, and it started off with attributing Triple G's offense to the Mexican style, right? But it didn't stop there. Triple G said he has a Mexican style, blah 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 blah. But HBO, Jim Lampley, and Max Kellerman, you know, they took it to another level. They took it to another level because they kept coming back to that, and they used it as the foundation of what Triple G is. They consistently said, well, the reason why you should watch this fighter is because he has a Mexican style, right? And I already started seeing red flags from a mile away. Started seeing red flags. And one of the biggest red flags was when HBO, either Jim Lampley or Max Kellerman, was talking about Triple G. They attribute the fact that he comes forward, the fact that he's there to fight. When he takes a punch, they say, well, it's his Mexican style, right? But when he boxes and he throws his jab, and they want to talk about his ring IQ, they want to talk about his ability to use lateral movement, fight on the back foot, close off the ring, all these boxing attributes, anything that requires intelligence, they attribute that to his Eastern European roots, right? But when you say, hey, but his defense isn't that great, he gets punched in the face, then that's when they throw in, well, it's the Mexican style. He likes the Mexican style, so that's why you get that. Well, it looks like his defense isn't that good. It looks like he doesn't have really ring IQ if he's getting hit in the face with hard shots by Kell Brook. No, 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 no. You don't get it. He's trying to give you the Mexican fight. He's trying to fight like a Mexican. But what about Lemieux when he was throwing the jab and he was keeping at a distance? Oh, well, that's because he has this Eastern European amateur background, and they taught him all that. They taught him how to box. They taught him how to throw the jab out. You start noticing that anything that required intelligence was attributed to the Eastern European background that he had and the amateur background. But when it came down to just this come forward punching bag, if you wanted to describe him as not having great defense, if you want to say he takes too many punches, if you want to say that he's not a very intelligent boxer, well, then they attribute that to, well, he likes to fight Mexican style. That's why. And I always found that as disrespectful. I'm not gonna lie. It always annoyed the fuck out of me. It's annoyed the fuck out of me for a long time. The fact that the media, and it's been a lot of this, I gotta say it, it's been the American media that has attributed Mexican style boxing to just this robotic come forward punching bag that has a great chin. Even the way that they describe Julio Cesar Chavez. Let's see here. I'm reading comments right now. K2 Promotions wanted to market Triple G in U.S. market, but core boxing fan base wouldn't take to him because he wasn't a brother, where areas Mexican people might take him. Well, no, because Mexican people are part of that U.S. market. When they're going on HBO, they're talking to the entire American market. And that American market has different people that consider themselves to be of certain groups. So yes, you have people that consider themselves as white Americans. And you have those that consider themselves as Mexicans and African Americans. So no, I don't think that they chose the Mexican people. They chose a Mexican market over the African American market because the African American people wouldn't support him. If they would have chosen the African American market, they would have gotten the African American market. That's the thing about marketing. When you do it right, there is a result to it. When you promote and you market your fighter a certain way, you're going to get certain things happen. You planted the seed, and the plant will grow later. So they planted the seed, and they chose to plant it with the Mexican fan base. The same result would have happened no matter which fan base they picked. They could have picked the Asian market. They could have most likely picked the white market. They could have picked African Americans. The way that they have been putting energy and the way that they've been marketing it, it would have been successful no matter what ethnicity they would have picked. But they picked the Mexican market. And I think the reason why they picked the Mexican market is because it suited his style to begin with. The way they have been describing the Mexican fighter suited what Triple G represented. Like, for example, they're not going to try the Lomachenko style and say, hey, that's the outboxer. He's a slick. He likes the African American style, slick, outboxer. They could really go into it and try to sell Lomachenko as African American style boxing, right? They could, but they don't. You want to know why? Because African Americans would call bullshit on that. There's one thing with African Americans, they're a little bit more aware and they're a little bit more weary of what the media is trying to put in front of them, and they'll call bullshit on something like that real quick. I don't think it'll slide. But for us, we let it slide, and that's something that's the reason why I call this a phenomenon. What's up? Okay, so I got a few people on here, and I apologize in advance if I miss your comments. I'm gonna try to read them as you guys put them through, as soon as I finish my thought. So don't feel left out if you leave a comment and you don't hear me responding to it. Let's see here. Oh shit. Okay. Oh, what's up, boxing fan? What's up, bro? I'm gonna read your comment in a little bit. Let me go back up to Donal. Stereotypes are bad. People call Mexicans flat-footed. Plus, black fighters slick, which is not true. That's 100% fact what you just said. And I'm gonna get into that. See, the description of the the Mexican style. The description that comes with what it is like to come from the school of boxing in Mexico. The way that they've described Julio Cesar Chavez, I was about to talk about this a few minutes ago, but the way that they describe Julio Cesar Chavez in the United States is much different than the way they describe him in Mexico. In the United States, it's about his chin. The way he comes forward. They used to say he takes 2 punches to give 1. He's always in front of you. Right? In Mexico, they say he's intelligent. He's a counter puncher, and he also initiates the action. He's a well-rounded boxer. He's got great defense. His head movement's hard to deal with. While in the United States, they say, he has a great chin. In Mexico, they say he has a lot of heart. For some reason, the way that they describe the Mexican style in the United States has always been you're kind of saying similar things, but you're not giving the Mexican style credit it deserves. In Mexico, they say the hook to the liver is the staple of the Mexican style. In the United States, they say coming forward is a staple to the Mexican style. In Mexico, when they say the reason why 2 Mexican fighters are entertaining is because of the pride that comes from it. You got something to prove. You got another Mexican in front of you saying that he is more Mexican than you. You are there to represent your city, your state, your country. And there is someone doing the exact same thing right in front of you, trying to fight for your spot. So in Mexico, they look at it as the pride. The pride is what drives this fight to be more exciting than what it usually is, because there's more on the line than just money or a belt. There's pride, right? But in the United States, they say, well, the Mexican fighter is entertaining because they come in and they don't worry about defense, and they throw a lot of punches, and they go for the knockout. You know what I mean? And it's always bothered me just how little attention that they give to the technique, to the actual style, and they're very lazy in their description of what Mexican style is. And I've always said this before. I really do have a problem with the way the media is describing the Mexican fighter. Let's see here. Yeah, but Triple G seems to be hated, and this is coming from I'm reading another comment from Donald Edgington, and just want to say thank you for showing up to the live stream. Yeah, but Triple G seems to be hated by a lot of American YouTuber boxers. Spence and Charlo are like Triple G. They come forward with neglect of defense. Well, yeah, there's a lot of boxers that come in from. I mean, look at if the description of if the way the American media describes Mexican boxing, if that was true, I would like to see. Why wasn't there's a lot of fighters, man. Mike Tyson, you can say he's Mexican style, right? Um, you look at Timothy Bradley. I mean, Timothy Bradley, you can say he's Mexican style. What about Sean Porter, right? And that's if the Mexican style, the way the American media portrays Mexican style, that's only if that was true, right? But that's not the way I see it. That's not the way I see it. I feel like within the this quote unquote Mexican style, which has a lot to do with pride, there's also fundamentals learned in the boxing gym. They emphasize on certain skills and techniques, and that's fighting on the inside and being able to take advantage of the body shots, especially the liver shot, breaking down the body. So there's a technical aspect to it, and a lot of this has to do with intelligence. Has to do with intelligence, but the way the American media portrays it, it just has to do with stupidity, pretty much. Because yeah, the way that they describe American boxers in the United States is stupid. It's as if Mexican fighters are stupid. Let's see here. CMD Boxing reports. Well, the way I sees it, Mexican style boxing is what kept boxing alive because of the action-packed fights that they put on, in my opinion. Mexican boxing fans in Southern California kept boxing going because they were showing up to fights. They were showing up to fights to watch black boxers, to watch Triple G. Triple G sold a lot in California. He fought a lot in California. They went to go fight Terrence. Want to go see, Terrence Crawford. Want to go see Puerto Rican fighters like Miguel Cotto. And then they saw fighters that came in from Mexico too. Mexican boxing fans show up to the events. They show up. They're there, right? They might not be in Alabama watching Deontay Wilder fight, but that's just the difference of states. It's not because of ethnicity, because they're there for the Andre Ward fights in Northern California. That's why they were able. That's why, maybe if there was a market that they were going to attack and try to sell them to that market, it would be the Mexican market. So, there's a little bit of logic behind on why they picked the Eastern European fighter or the Mexican boxing fan. They picked them as the future buyers of or supporters, the future supporters of the Eastern European fighter, because it kind of fit. It's a good sell. I'm a salesman. I understand when there's a good sell, and that is a very good sell. I do have to give the media a lot of credit because they did a good job. They actually found a good connection. But at the end of the day, I do have to look at the buyer and say, hey, you were sold on a lie. You weren't just sold on a lie, but you were sold on a lie, and you let go also of what makes of the little bit of success that Mexican fighters can have with their own fan base. Because now the Mexican fighter has to compete with the Eastern European fighter for their own fan base. Used to not have to be like that. Let's see here. Let me look at So, Donald, Canelo is like AJ in the UK market. Megastars, but have a lot of haters because some of their countrymen think they're fake and hype jobs. That's a very good way of putting it. I don't know if you follow Spanish media. I don't know if you watch Golpe a Golpe, but that seems to be the reason why a lot of people dislike Canelo, especially in Mexico. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they think that Canelo is a media hype job, and that the only reason why they're putting him on there is because he can sell beer, he can sell cars, he can sell, you know, whatever brand you want to put on him, he can sell it. So that's the way that they see it. So they separate him from boxing because they say he's not that great of a boxer, and the only reason why he's winning fights is because they give him the advantage to begin with to win the fight. So they really look at him as like, imagine if Conor McGregor came into boxing and he started getting, just these, he started being favorited, by the WBC. They gave him different gloves. Maybe they even let him use steroids or something, And that's really how they see Canelo. They see as if he's an outsider that came in and is just here to make some money because he can be sold. And a lot of people that see that is because, one, the Mexican boxing media has been portraying him that way. And two, because a lot of them can't stand to see a Mexican on top. You know what I mean? They can't see a Mexican in that position. And it's kind of weird because you would think, well, as a Mexican, why wouldn't you want to see another one make it? And this is another phenomenon that happens in the Mexican community, which is why we get held back a lot by our own people. Let's see here. CMD Boxing reports. Over here in the East Coast, a lot of boxing fans loved watching Mexican boxers because they could bang, and that's what kept boxing going. I was referring to the boxers, not the Mexican fans. Yeah, and I get that, man. I get that. Um, so I get it. I understand that. But now we're kind of in a playing field where there's a lot of, we've had a few weak years in boxing. And not a few. I mean, the past 15 years have not been so great, not until recently. So talent pool is growing. It's a lot more competitive. We're seeing new names, young fighters, young talent, and it's looking good. It seems like it's picking back up, right? So in the market, the way that it is, like maybe this kind of branding for the Mexican fighter was needed back then when there was a low talent pool, there weren't too many young fighters coming out, and you had to sell them something, So in the position that we're in now, it doesn't help. It doesn't help because really what you're doing is you're selling the Mexican fan base a fighter from Eastern Europe. Now the Mexican fighter is having a hard time because the boxing media isn't paying as much attention to them. And because the boxing media is already selling the Mexican fan base that this is who you should be picking because he represents your style. I wouldn't have a problem with this if I started seeing Mexican fans go to Terrence Crawford wearing Mexican style. Mexicans for Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? if I started seeing more of that, this would be actually a positive thing, right? If I started seeing Mexican boxing fans go to Errol Spence and they were like, Mexicans for Errol Spence, I would love to see that. But the fact that they come out and they're specifically saying Mexicans for Triple G, and I'm trying to wonder what the fuck is going on here. Never in my life have I ever seen so many Mexicans against the fighter that represents them. And it's almost like they want to fight against Canelo. You know, it's less about Triple G and more about Canelo. They do not want Canelo representing them. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of it has to do with also the lack of understanding of the way, I don't know, business, the lack of understanding of business, marketing. Because in their eyes, they think that they're fighting the media by going against Canelo. But you're not fighting the media. You're just, you're following the media. Because they're, at the same time, if you're mad at them selling you Canelo, they're at the same time they're selling you Triple G. All you're doing is picking one, but they're selling you someone. You got to be a fool to think that they're not selling you Triple G. Let's see here. Oh, I kind of skipped this one. Let's see here. Ramirez Benavidez could be big fight at 160. Possible best two at super middleweight. That'd be a great fight. That'd be a great fight. You know, that'd be a great fight. But it's interesting to see how there's more attention towards Triple G than there is towards Gilberto Ramirez. There's more excitement behind Triple G, or there was. There was more excitement behind Triple G than there was excitement for Gilberto Ramirez. But it really didn't start until we started having the conversation of what if Canelo fought Triple G. That's what initiated everything. Let's see here. Carlos Zarate, Salvador Sanchez, Barrera Morales are real Mexican style. Yeah. Also, what doesn't help was for the past few years, and by few I mean like 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years, before Canelo fought Floyd, there's been a lot of criticism coming from Julio Cesar Chavez and Erik Morales, legends in Mexican boxing, but they've been very critical towards Canelo, and a lot of it looked like, well, this was legit criticism, and a lot of it was very legit criticism. You know, they were criticizing his catch weight, they were criticizing his opponents, they were criticizing his performances, and a lot of it made sense, but it overshadowed the fact that as they were criticizing Canelo, they were giving a lot of praise to Triple G. So there was an imbalance, and Mexican boxing fans slowly started getting turned and started getting more supportive towards Triple G than they did towards Canelo. And a lot of it has to do with the energy that they put into Canelo and Triple G. But it's funny though because after the fight, the ones that I was really looking out for, I really didn't care after the fight. I didn't care what Max Kellerman thought. I didn't care what Jip Lampley thought. I didn't care what Letterman thought. The opinions that really mattered to me were the ones that were the biggest attractors towards Canelo. I really wanted to know what Julio Cesar Chavez thought, what Erik Morales thought, you know, and come to find out, they thought that Canelo beat Triple G. And they were very impressed, and they came out and said that Canelo shut their mouth. So seeing that was you know, just a big sign for me, because as much as I wanted to say there was a bit of jealousy from Chavez because his son, also trying to be a superstar, was kind of in the shadow of Canelo in Mexico. I thought that there was a bit of jealousy on Chavez Sr.'s part because his son wasn't getting the same respect that Canelo wasn't getting the same paychecks, wasn't getting the same marketing deals, commercial opportunities. You know what I mean? And I'm sure he wanted that for his son. But at the end of the day, it took Canelo beating the shit out of his son for him to realize, well, my son's not at his level. So now he's a little bit more inclined to say Canelo deserves what he's getting. And that's the biggest problem in what's going on right now, is that they really do feel in Mexico that Canelo doesn't deserve, or at least not everyone, some of them. It's divided. And I would say the majority of boxing fans have absolutely no problem with Canelo. Maybe they're not. Maybe that's not the style that they prefer. Maybe they like other fighters, Carlos Cuadras, Gilberto Ramirez, you know what I mean? Oscar Valdez. Maybe they got their eye out on younger, sharper fighters, right? But at the end of the day, there's a good percentage. There's a good third of the population, third of boxing fans, that are really looking at Canelo and they're saying, this guy deserves absolutely nothing that he has, and he's just a marketing tool. And that's a little bit frustrating for me because in the back of my head, I'm always thinking this is something that Mexican boxing fans or boxers, other Mexican boxers need. They need a fighter that comes in and paves the way for them, They need someone that comes from where they come from and be able to succeed and open doors for them. You know what I mean? And I think that's very important, and it seems like a missed opportunity, having a lot of the Mexican boxing fans fucking shut down this opportunity that's happening for other fighters to come out here and become mega superstars in the United States. Like, they want everyone to end up like Orlando Salido. Orlando Salido gets paid fine, but that motherfucker has to work his ass off to fucking get what he has. He has to work 10 times harder than anyone else. There's no problem with that. There's a lot of pride that comes with that, and I get it. But at the end of the day, doors are being opened, period. And it's either going to be for a certain group. And when doors open for Mexican fighters, the last thing I want to see is Mexican boxing fans get in the way of that. It's frustrating. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to light up my blunt. My shit went out. Let's see. Cody, what's up, man? What's up, bro? I'm white for Canelo. That's funny. Man in water. Mexicans are crabs in a bucket. Yeah, I made that reference earlier. That's a popular saying, We just pull each other down. You don't even have to cover the bucket because no one's getting out. As soon as someone gets close to get out, there's another crab pulling them down. But I guarantee you we're not the only ones that feel that way. Guarantee you that, other communities, other ethnicities feel the same way too. Maybe it's human nature. Maybe it has nothing to do with race or culture. It has to do with human nature, James DeGale is the best at super middle. The thing is that the media is pushing the Eastern European boxer on everyone over here. The same thing that's going on with Mexico is happening here in the States. Yes, they are trying very hard to push the Eastern European fighter, and they're doing this in the States too. I 100% agree with that. They're really trying hard to do this Eastern European, make it work. They really want to make it work. And it's to the point where it's like I understand when you guys are trying to make the most of the talent that you have. Like I get it if you're trying to make the most of it, but it seems like you're trying to put a circle into a square. You're trying to fit something that doesn't fit in here, and there's a lot of American boxers that are either just as talented or even more talented that are not getting the same attention, and they're getting ignored, and it seems irresponsible, and it almost seems like it's. I guess if there's any other way I'm going to put it, I'm just going to say, I don't know how to put it. I mean, I would say it's a missed opportunity. They're wasting their time. You know, they're going to get some success because they're putting a lot of energy into it. You know, it's just like marketing. If you have a marketing campaign, you're going to get some success. But the level of your success will depend on what marketing, what market you're attacking. And if you're attacking the right market, you'll have a lot of success. If you go for the wrong market, you're going to put a little bit more work and it's going to take you a little bit longer to get there, but you'll still see success. And what they're doing is they're pushing the Eastern European fighter, and they're using the Eastern European fighter to replace the Mexican fighter. And I think it's because they really do want to sell that black versus white. I think that's what they want to do. I think they really want to sell that black versus white. And I don't think they could do that with a Mexican fighter. Even if the Mexican fighter looked obviously white, like Canelo, they still can't do that because, you know, the Mexican fighter won't identify himself as white. So you won't be able to pull that off. But I think that, you know, racism does sell a lot in boxing. It sells a lot in boxing. And it's a little bit harder to get African Americans to, you know, it happens. Like you'll get African Americans that look at the Mexican fighter as their rivals. But it's a lot harder to get them to hate the Mexican fighter than it is to get them to hate the white fighter. So they really want to use the Eastern European white fighter to be able to come in here and they can try to sell. But it's not working. It's not working. We saw that with Kovalev and Andre Ward. Yeah, there was some back and forth between hardcore boxing fans, but at the end of the day, it didn't sell. The majority of boxing fans, they really didn't give a shit about it. Or the majority of sports fans, they didn't care. It didn't work. So I don't know why they're trying to push, like I said, a circle into a square hole. It doesn't make sense. You've seen how Leo Santa Cruz had to let go of that Mexican style stereotype in order to win. Yeah, and you know, there's so many styles that are coming out of Mexico that, you know, you just don't see the same fighter over and over again, you know? Like Leo Santa Cruz doesn't fight like Oscar Valdez. Abner Mares doesn't fight like Oscar Valdez. And then you have Gilberto Ramirez, you know, completely different style. And a lot of it has to do with their physical attributes, you know, their height, their arm length, their attitudes. You know, none of them fight like Marquez, and none of them fight like Canelo. You know what I mean? Just so many different styles come out of Mexico. It's the same thing with Americans, you know, or if you want to go by race, African Americans. You know, there's so many different styles. Not everyone fights like Floyd. You know what I mean? Not everyone fights like Floyd. Fucking Roy Jones Jr. did not fight like Floyd. You know what I mean? Completely different styles. Mike Tyson, completely different style. He did not do anything like Floyd did. Completely different approach. So to say that every black fighter is boring and they're just, they're slick outboxers, they don't attack, that's bullshit too. And the media, I see the media trying to do this a lot. They try to do this with black fighters too. Try to put them into a box, and then you get people saying that black fighters don't sell or black fighters are boring. And that's a phenomenon. Like, what the fuck? Black fighters are some of the most entertaining fighters in the world, and you got people saying now in this day and age that they're boring. Where the fuck did that come from? Where did that come from? It's insane. Insane. Some of the best fighters in the world, the most dangerous fighters in the world, are coming here from the United States, and they're black, and you're telling me that they're boring? What? Shit doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Let's see here. More Americans are going for Kovalev instead of supporting their fellow American Andre Ward. Yup. They were sold on that shit. But you know what? I can understand. Like, again, I'm not going for nationalism 100% through. Like, I'm not saying stick with your own. That's not what I'm saying. Like, so I mean, if there's an individual out there watching this video later, if you just so happen to like a certain style or a certain boxer more than another, if you like Kovalev and you like the style that he brought, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But what I am pointing out is the fact that just like my commentator, the person commenting had brought up, the media is pushing Eastern European fighters. So that within that context, he's absolutely right. The media is doing that. The media is pushing. If you decide that you like a certain fighter and you're following all the fighters and there's a certain fighter that you like and he just so happens to be Eastern European, then that's one thing. But there's a group of people that are being sold the fighter that's in front of them, the fighter that they like. And the media is trying very hard to sell the Eastern European fighter. Very hard. And just like some people in the comment section are saying, they're doing this not just with the Mexican fans, but they're also doing this with American fans too. They're doing this with Lomachenko. Lomachenko is getting pushed way harder than Terrence Crawford is getting pushed. You know, he's getting pushed way, way harder than Terrence Crawford. And I think that's probably a big reason why they're moving Terrence Crawford to, and we're seeing a lot of, Lomachenko too. You know, we're seeing a lot of fights on ESPN, but I think what they want to do is spread them out a little bit. You know, maybe one guy is fighting on ESPN while the other's on HBO. And it gives the networks an opportunity to actually go 100% for a specific fighter without stepping on any toes. You know, because it does feel like you're stepping on toes when you do have HBO putting a lot of attention on Lomachenko, and at the same time they have Terrence Crawford right there in their network fighting. You know, fucking Terrence Crawford could be fighting in 2 weeks, and they're still talking about Lomachenko. You know what I mean? Cody. The black versus white shit is true, and it's weird. I gotta tell you, man, yeah, I agree with that. It's weird. So many Americans pick Golovkin over Jacobs. They didn't even say, I want Jacobs to win, but I don't think he will. They picked the foreigner. Yeah. But you know, the thing with the United States is, since it is a melting pot, There's a lot of new immigrants here in the United States. I kind of expect it to be hard to um, hard to get people to be so patriotic, right? But that's just me being stupid because at the end of the day, you got people shutting down football games because they're fucking so pissed. They're not going to watch football ever because they're so pissed and so patriotic that a motherfucker is not praying or not. That's what I call saluting to the flag. I call it praying. I don't pray to flags. So me personally, I don't do that shit. I don't pray to flags. I don't pray to other humans. I don't do that shit. All right. So but people they get all but hurt because someone isn't saluting the flag, and they're willing to stop watching an entire sport. But when it comes down to boxing, the patriotism, all that shit gets thrown out the window. Gets thrown out the window. Let's see here. Oh, Insane Fighter, what's up, bro? I gotta start a hangout. Yeah, man. I want to do that. I want to do a hangout. Get some of you guys an opportunity to actually put in your 2 cents live. You know what I mean? But but I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm doing the live stream a lot more than I'm doing my videos, pre-recorded videos, and I usually like putting a I'll put a picture up, image of the fight or image of the weigh-in, and I go from there, and then I record over that. But I'm in between laptops right now, so since I'm in between laptops, I'm not really editing any videos, and I'm doing all of this from my phone. But I'll figure out how to do the hangouts. I'll figure it out. At the end of the day, there are a few people that I would like to collaborate with, and it'd be a lot easier having a hangout and being able to do this one-on-one than it would be to respond to videos. So I would like to do, hot seat responses where I have the channel in front of me and I'm doing a direct response and they're able to respond back to me if I got anything wrong. So let's see here. Expand. Yeah. I mean, money off it. I make good money on my own. Um, this is a hobby, and I want to keep it fun. I still want to have fun with it. I don't want it to be a chore. I don't want to. I hate feeling like, fuck, I just drank a beer, enjoyed this fight, but I feel like I have to go and do a video, and I feel forced to do a video. I don't like doing that. You know. Um, that's why I never really grew my channel. My channel kind of stayed plateaued at around 200 viewers. People leave, people come in, and I'm not trying to pick up anything new because I've seen how other channels get when they get big, and they have to cater to a certain crowd, and it just becomes too much. Too much. You lose all the fun. Let's see here. But yeah, back to Triple G and this new boxing media pushing the Eastern European fighter. You see this happening in the United States. You see this happening with Mexican fighters. But the only thing that I can talk about is Mexicans. Mexican Americans too. Is if you guys are really about it, if this really is about you not being nationalistic and oh well, you just like Triple G because you think he's a real fighter and you think Canelo is a hype job. Okay, fine, that's cool. But why don't we see you guys out there fucking cheering for Terrence Crawford? Why don't we see you guys out there cheering for Andre Ward or, Errol Spence or one of the Charlo brothers? Why don't we see Mexicans for Charlo brothers? You know what I mean? Why the fuck are we just seeing you guys Mexicans for Triple G? It just seems really fucking weird that you guys are fucking specifically picking the Eastern European fighters. And it's starting to fucking... Let me tell you guys how it looks. It really looks like the outside looking in, motherfuckers that are not Mexican, they're looking at you like you want to be white. Like you're picking the white fighter. I don't know if you guys know the rules of engagement or the way people view things. And some of you might act like, oh, I don't care. But it doesn't fucking matter. Whether you care or not means absolutely nothing. This is the way things are. And the way people are looking at it is as if you're picking the white fighter. That's the way it looks. That's the way it looks, especially with the fact that, like I said, it's not like you guys are coming out here saying, oh, Mexicans for Keith Thurman. I've never seen that shit, man. Never in my life have I seen so many Mexicans, even after the fight, go out of the way and have to explain that they're Mexican and they thought Triple G got robbed. Oh, me as a Mexican, but I saw Triple G get robbed. What the fuck happened when Marquez fought Timothy Bradley? Timothy Bradley obviously beat Marquez. What did I see my people do? They got mad. Oh, fucking Marquez got robbed. They robbed him. Oh, so against Timothy Bradley, you guys all patriotic and shit, want to fucking defend Marquez. Against Timothy Bradley, right? But against Triple G, oh, you not Triple G. No. You guys like Triple G, right? The fuck? That shit looks kind of weird, man. Shit looks kind of weird. And that's the shit, man. That kind of have to start talking about other social and political issues when you want to get into the mentality of the Mexican. But I don't really want to go into it like that. I just want to keep boxing. And at the end of the day, I do see a lot of people upset at the way the media has been selling them Canelo. Just to let you guys know, the media was selling you Triple G 2 and you bought one of the two. And at the end of the day, you bought Triple G. And the question is, why did you buy Triple G over Canelo? If you're going to be bought and sold, if you're going to be sold something, why'd you pick it? I think that's an interesting conversation, an interesting topic. I won't be able to have this conversation by myself. I would need someone in front of me that got sold Triple G. And I would need to ask him why. But damn. All right, I've been on here for an hour. I'm about to do one of those Thunderdome boxing marathons. I don't want to have this go out an hour and 30 minutes, so I'm just going to end it off here. This is Aztec 101. Thank you guys for joining in. I know I haven't really been doing my videos as often, but just stay tuned. I'm going to be a lot more consistent with uploading. Just took a little break. So this is Aztec 101 in the ring, and I'm out.